Some people have an unwavering determination to build empires from the ground up, driven by a burning desire to achieve their goals. And in the end, all that hard work pays off. Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to discuss the net worth of billions of dollars of the Jenkins family. So let's dive straight into the main story. Guys, did you know about George Washington Jenkins Jr.? You know, he was quite the most remarkable American businessman in history. In return, his impact on the grocery industry is just incredible. I mean, founding public supermarkets is no small feat. And guess what? He was like the master of innovation. Let's talk about its incredible journey. It all started in Warm Springs, Georgia. Here, his family owned a general store catering mostly to farmers, but then disaster struck when the boll weevil destroyed the local cotton fields, so they moved the business to Atlanta. But you know what? Jenkins stayed behind to finish school and sell off the remaining inventory. That's dedication right there. Certainly, he tried out a bunch of different jobs before landing in the grocery business. Can you believe he even tried being a cab driver? But it didn't last long. He quit after just one day. Then there was that short period selling shoes and candy bars on shipment, which didn't go too well. Among all the struggles, he did a lot. Then at last, he found his way to Piggly Wiggly stores, where he worked his way up and proved himself as a top-notch manager. And get this, he was planning to go into real estate, but ended up in South Florida during a land boom. Talk about fate. But it was during a visit to Sarasota that he got an amazing opportunity. A friend took him to meet someone who owned several Piggly Wiggly markets, and after hearing about Jenkins' experience, at that time the guy offered him a job. Jenkins took the chance, and man, did it pay off. Meanwhile, his luck went his way, and he managed stores like a pro. He worked and got appreciation from his owner. Later on, his success led him to Winter Haven, where he handled their biggest store. Yes, you heard it right. He managed to fourfold their sales in under a year. Now that's what you call a success story, right? Undoubtedly, George Washington Jenkins Jr. truly left a mark on the grocery industry with his vision and hard work. From a small general store in Georgia to founding one of the biggest supermarket chains in the U.S., his journey is nothing short of inspiring. Now this is one heck of a story. So back in 1930, Florida was going through a rough patch. What with the real estate bubble burst, hurricanes, and the Wall Street crash wreaking havoc, the chain of stores that Jenkins managed was sold to some Atlanta businessman who didn't even bother checking out his new property. Sad. But here was Jenkins, who was not the one that backed down. He decided to take matters into his own hands. At that time, he drove to Atlanta, walked into the guy's office, and asked to see the owner. But guess what? The owner was on the phone talking about his golf game while his secretary told Jenkins he was unavailable. You can imagine how furious Jenkins must have been. After that, he headed back to Winter Haven with fire in his belly, and that's when he comes up with a brilliant idea. He decided to start his store right next to that Piggly Wiggly. Talk about competition. Now, this wasn't the easiest time to start a business. The whole country was grappling with the Great Depression. But you know what? Jenkins was determined. He gets together with some friends. They each chip in, and boom, Publix Food Stores is born in 1930. Jenkins keeps 13 shares for himself and sells the rest to friends and even some employees. Guys, here the battle begins, and it's like a retail showdown between Publix and Piggly Wiggly. Both stores are trying to outdo each other with offers and premium stuff. It's like a supermarket rivalry of epic proportions. But guess what? Jenkins and his team are no pushovers. Despite the tough times, his store manages to cover its expenses while Piggly Wiggly bites the dust and closes down. And that's not the end of the story. As the economy starts picking up, Jenkins' store does even better, and he opens another one in just 5 years. That's the spirit. George Washington Jenkins Jr. knew how to turn challenges into opportunities. From being a stalker to founding Publix and taking on the big guns, his journey is nothing short of inspiring. And to think it all started with that determination to compete with the guy who underestimated him. He was a true retail pioneer. Meanwhile, George Washington Jenkins Jr. knew how to dream big and turn his ideas into reality. Can you believe he used an orange grove as security to get a bank loan of $70,000 to build the first ever supermarket in Florida during the Great Depression? Talk about determination. And that supermarket was not an ordinary one. Damn, it was a food palace. It had all these amazing features that were unheard of in grocery stores back then. I mean, imagine the luxury of air conditioning, bright fluorescent lighting, and even music playing in the background while you shop. And those open dairy cases and freezers with frozen food? Revolution, revolution everywhere. But Jenkins wasn't content with just one store. He knew he had to expand to be truly successful. During World War II, when building materials were scarce, he bought an existing company, Lakeland Grocery Company. Eventually, it operated a chain of 19 stores. Smart move, right? He moved the Publix offices there, and to this day, Lakeland remains the headquarters of Publix. Whoa! It is no doubt that Jenkins was always on the move. Constantly, their attitude of looking for new products and innovations to improve his stores was on his mind. And boy, he succeeds. Over the years, Publix kept growing and adding new features like bakeries, flower shops, delicatessens, and even pharmacies and ATMs. They were ahead of their time. In the early 1990s, they took a bold step and expanded outside of Florida, starting in Georgia. And guess what? They overwhelmed customers with their full-service experience. Their customer service was the talk of the town, and it set them apart from their competitors. Now, here's the amazing thing. Even though they've grown so much, Publix remains a private company. The Jenkins family still owns about 20% of it, but the real power lies with the employees, who hold an 80% stake. How cool is that? All employees who put in the time and effort get a share of Publix stock, aligning everyone's interest toward top-notch customer service. And it's all paid off, big time. Their sales have soared and the stock price has been on the rise. People are willing to pay a bit more at Publix because they value the excellent customer service, the clean stores, and the friendly staff. Indeed, George W. Jenkins Jr. was not only a visionary businessman, but also a true philanthropist. He founded the George W. Jenkins Foundation back in 1966 with a mission to improve the communities where Publix operates. It's not just the business world that recognized Jenkins' accomplishments. He received honorary doctorates from various universities, and you won't believe it, he was even elected as the president of the Supermarket Institute from 1961 to 1963. That's a big deal in the grocery business. He was recognized by the Horatio Alger Association in 2007 and introduced into the Junior Achievement U.S. Business Hall of Fame in 2009. The state of Florida also acknowledged him as a Great Floridian in 2011, and he was named a Florida Business Legend by the Florida Independent Business Association in September of the same year. Now, I would like to say that George W. Jenkins Jr. was not only a successful businessman, but also a remarkable individual who made a significant impact on his community and beyond. His contributions and recognition show what an incredible person he was. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button to stay tuned.